Hello all, welcome to Delicious and Nutritious. We're here for another cooking show. I want to thank PAC TV and the Center for Active Living, as well as Beth Deaconess Hospital. We're excited about our show today. We're going to make Jewish style chicken and matzo ball soup. Now I'm going to send you over to Marcia Richardson, our nutritionist, and you'll come back to me in a moment. Go ahead, take it away, Marcia.
All right, thanks, Jerry. Everything looks beautiful over there. So I wanted to just throw out a little bit of history as far as the medicinal aspects of chicken soup. So we've known for a long time, it goes back into early Chinese times. There was writings about chicken soup being used to treat the common cold. In the 12th century, there was an Egyptian Jewish physician named Maimonides, I don't know if I'm saying it correctly, who also extolled the benefits. So I was curious to see if there is some research about the benefits of chicken soup. And lo and behold, I did find some. So one article was in Chest in 1978, and they did find that some property of chicken soup reduced the inflammatory response associated with the common cold. And this inflammatory response is what makes us feel so miserable, causes the stuffy nose and all those respiratory symptoms. So they really weren't sure what caused it. What is it about the chicken soup? Is it the chicken? Is it the carrots? Is it the parsnips? Who knows? Another study showed that it might be an element in chicken breast called carnosine. A third study was done to see if it was just about hot, the steam. Is that what makes people feel better? So they had 3 different groups of people. One group was given water, cold water. Another group was given hot water. And a third group was given chicken soup. Lo and behold, the chicken soup group had fewer or lessened respiratory symptoms. So chicken soup might not prevent the common cold, but it seems to definitely have some scientific proof that it does help treat the symptoms. So we are looking forward to learning how to make this soup, and I will give you my challenge question when you're all done. And I think you have one for me this week too. So back to you.
Thank you, Marcia. I am putting on a rubber glove right now because I don't particularly care to work with raw chicken on my hands. But what we have here is our knife, and the first thing one should have is a sharp knife. So we have our handy dandy little knife sharpener, and we're going to do a little sharpening here. Notice how I have the sharpener off to one side so I don't cut my leg off. And enough of that, and we are going to quickly cut up a chicken. The first thing we do is start at the leg, and we look for the joint, and we put it in the pot. There are four quarts of boiling water in the pot, and we're going to cut the joint off of the wing, and we put that in the pot. So we'll get another wing off of this side. And we'll get that there, and that goes in there. And we have a leg over here. And, you know, it's not that difficult to cut up a chicken. All you really need to do is find out where the joints are. And that is there. So, okay, that goes in there. Now, what we have here is the thigh. So we take and cut along here, look for the joint that is right about there, and we cut that through. And the thigh goes in. We go back to the other side and look for the thigh and start cutting again. And we'll break that. There we go. And that cuts across like this. And The thigh is going in 1 second. And now we have the backbone. Now, the backbone is normally discarded, but in this case, we're not going to do that because we just won't try to, we're going to cook it, but we're going to get the value of the flavor and the meat that's in there also. And the final thing is we're going to just cut this off here like this and break that over here like that there. And okay, that way I can flatten it and take the knife and run it down where the keel is, or the center of the breastbone. And you can hear it snapping and crunching and breaking. And part of that is due to using a sharp knife. And there we go through there. And there we go through there. And all the chicken is done. Now I'm going to just place this behind me because I don't want to do any cross-contamination. Notice how I'm taking the glove off, and my right hand held the knife, so therefore there is no cross-contamination. Everything's clean in this area right now. Now, into the pot. We need to take our carrots. Please notice that I've washed the carrots and I have not scraped them, and so the skin is still on the carrots. We have parsnips right here. I did scrape them, so I removed the skin from that. And celery. And some more celery. Onions. What? The skin's still on the onions. They're going in with the skin on the onions. Why? Because if you'll notice the nice golden color here on the onions, the reason you leave the skin on, we're not going to eat these onions. These are going to be discarded. But the nice golden color from the onions is going to leach into the pot, and it's going to make it look lovely. Okay. A little dill. A little parsley. And pepper, salt, lid goes on, and 2.5 hours of cooking. Bring to the boil first, and then let it simmer for 2.5 hours. So we're just going to stick this over here. And now, where do we go from here? We're getting a couple of things right there like this. Now, after 2.5 hours, what we're going to do is we're going to take and we're going to strain the soup through a colander, bowl with holes, and we're going to take the pieces of chicken out and we're going to put them on a plate or a platter. They're not going in this. And what we will do is strain them through here, and chicken comes out. That goes in the refrigerator because we want it to cool down a little bit, because the next step with the chicken is we're going to debone it and we're going to take the skin off. And it's easier to work with the chicken if it's a little bit colder, and so that will be done. Now, all the vegetables that you saw in there, including those beautiful onions with the golden skin on them, is going to be discarded. They're done. Okay, next step. Through the wonders of modern television, we're going to finish this off. The soup goes into another pot. We start heating up the soup, and we take, what happened to my mandolin? Oh. We take the carrots. Now, this is one of my favorite little toys. It's a mini mandolin. So we need to make little pieces of carrots. So here we go. Look at this. No knife, no cutting fingers. The only problem, of course, is as you get closer to the bottom of this thing, you might do a little scraping. So the key is to stop at a reasonable point when you feel comfortable, and that goes into the pot with a little bit of dill. Oh, lovely smell. And parsley. And we end up coming out with our soup. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is to learn about matzo balls. And matzo ball, what is a matzo ball? Well, it's a ball from matzah. And the first thing that we need to do is we can get all of our little toys over here, and we take, this is matzah. What is matzah? Matzah is flour and water. And you'll notice the shape of it, it's square, it's got little grooves in it, and it is unleavened, meaning that the water and flour mixture has not been allowed to rise. So, what is meal? Meal is matzah ground into a fine little thing like breadcrumbs. All right. So, now, what we do in order to make this is we take 2 eggs. Okay, we've taken 2 eggs, and we're going to gently whip them up a little bit, and going to add a little bit of salt, a little more whipping to make nice distribution, and we're going to add 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil and 2 tablespoons of either water or chicken broth, if you happen to have it. And that goes in there like that. And we put that in there. And now we add the matzah meal. Everything has been pre-measured. And we do what the French call mise en place, which basically means to just to measure everything out before you start cooking, and the Japanese love it that way. It's just a way to organize it. The most important thing is, as you can see, it's becoming uniform. There's no extra liquid anywhere. And what we're going to do next is to refrigerate it for 20 minutes. Why are we refrigerating it for 20 minutes? We are refrigerating it for 20 minutes because we want it to absorb the moisture and to have the matzah meal expand. So we're refrigerating. And what we have here is the matzah meal that has already been refrigerated. Now, the next thing to do is we have another pot over here, and there is boiling water in this pot. And what we're going to do is to take, and I'm going to show you how to make a matzah ball. The most important thing in making matzah balls is to wet your hands. So a little bit of cold water, and get them really wet. And you take, I like to use a tablespoon, so pretty level, all right. And I just put my fingers in there and scrape it out, and I gently roll it. Look at that lovely ball into the hot water. And do another one. See how simple it is? Easy. Anybody can do it. Now, the most important thing when you're cooking these matzah balls is sometimes some of them want to stick to the bottom. So the best thing to do is, in order to prevent that, you take your spoon and you look in the bottom, you see one sticking down there, you just kind of scrape it a little bit, and it will come up off the bottom. And that is critical. Finally, we're getting down to the soup. And the soup is going to be put together right now. And we have some soup right here. And we have a soup plate. And we'll move this out of the way. Now, please notice, we take, look at those matzo balls. Remember how big they were when we started? They were that big. After 30 minutes of cooking, they are this size. And they're really good. So, hey, let's give another matzo ball here. So, please notice the chicken and the parsley and the dill that's in here. And we're going to actually put that over there and use this. And we are coming down to the end. So we'll put this back over here and put the spoon on the plate. Look at the lovely colors. Notice how green the herbs are, the dill and the parsley. Notice the carrots, how bright they are. And look at these three little matzo balls sticking up. A work of art. Better than Picasso. Okay, that's it. Jewish chicken soup and matzo balls. Marcia, I'm sending it back to you.
It looks absolutely beautiful. Ours is heating up as we speak. So I want to throw out my challenge question to you, and then we'll open it up for questions here from our audience. So I was able to come up with 5 names of chicken soups that various cultures use. So you just shared the Jewish matzo ball soup. I'm wondering if you know the name of my Italian heritage chicken soup.
Well, I'm afraid I honestly don't know the name of Italian, but I do know that the Chinese, the Japanese, and the Vietnamese also make chicken soup. And I've had all of those. And I've also had Italian chicken soup. And I think that the people that gave me the Italian chicken soup didn't know the Italian name for it, but I thought it was downright delicious. I tried
pastina.
to answer your
Pastina.
question.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
The name of it is pastina. And I think it's because of the little teeny tiny dot. Pastina in Prodo. We're very lucky to have a woman from Italy
in Brodo.
here in our
I
audience.
know that term. Marcia, the lady that just answered you, does she know about stracciatella?
Marissa.
Passatelli. Passatelli.
Passatelli, she says.
Stracciatella is a chicken broth with Parmesan cheese, a mixture of the Parmesan is whipped into an egg, and then you use pastini in that, and you get like little rags. And one Italian told me that the soup is called stracciatella, means rags. I can't confirm that. But all I can tell you is if you're not feeling good and you need a pick-me-up, that is a great soup, especially if your stomach's bothering you. It's very light, and it's got the protein from the cheese and the eggs, and a little bit of broth, so you're hydrating. It's dynamite.
Exactly. And the soup that you have created for us today is low in sodium. We are airing this in the month of February, which is National Heart Month. And another attribute of your soup is that it's high in vitamin A, which is great for our immune system, our skin, our hair, our eyes, for sure. And a third is that it is low in sodium. There's less than 400 milligrams of sodium in this soup. So it's a great addition to anybody's meal plans, in my book, and especially in the cold weather months when we're more likely to maybe run the risk of getting a cold, because that rhinovirus that causes the cold, it's felt to live better in colder temperatures.
Marcia,
So I'm going
can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Okay. As you noticed, I did not scrape the carrots.
You did.
Why?
Because why would you want to lose the nutrients from the skin and that added fiber?
Bingo, you got it. Excellent.
Whew. And the colors is so beautiful. And some of the things that I've read, I haven't read like a scientific study on it, but sometimes I'll read or hear that when the skin of a fruit or a vegetable is the same color as the flesh, it probably has the same level of nutrients. It's definitely going to have a great amount of phytochemicals, which are the latest nutrients that we're learning more and more about, which probably have a lot to do with health and preventing chronic disease too. So
Exactly.
when you can eat the skin, wash, definitely, which we know you did kind of scrub them. And but for those people who don't like the skin, if they don't like the texture or the flavor of it, you're not eliminating all of the great nutrients. You're still going to get a good amount of nutrients too. So I don't want anybody to be concerned if
Excellent.
they
Do we have any questions for the chef?
That's what we're going to find out right now. Questions for the chef. Okay, we have two in the back. What will you do with all the leftover chicken from the soup?
Oh, that's in the soup. We've taken it, we've deboned it, and put it into the soup.
Yep, so he took, after he cooked this chicken, he removed the chicken from the bones and cut it up into little pieces and put it back in the soup. We just didn't get to see him do that due to time. Yep, so he's not going to waste that. And you know, that was another aspect too about making the broth from the bone. You get a lot of great nutrients from the bone too.
Exactly.
All right, we have another question.
I was just wondering if you, I don't eat carrots either, I just scrub them, but why wouldn't you,
So why peel the parsnips and not the carrots?
Well, I'll tell you something. To be truthful with you, it's a visual thing for me. The parsnips don't tend to have an attractive looking skin. And I just don't like the way it looks. And the other thing is that a lot of times when you buy parsnips, there's going to be little brown discoloring on the outside of it. And I'm not sure if that affects the flavor. So I'd rather not attempt to do that. I will tell you that my grandmother, who had an influence on my cooking experiences, she said, "Peel the parsnips, kid."
Peel the parsnips, kid. Other questions? Okay. Yeah, did you make the matzo meal or did you buy that?
No, I bought it. If you go into the supermarket, go to the international section, look for Jewish type things, and you will find it. It's in a box or in a tube, and there's an excellent recipe for it. It's basically what I've given you here. It's 2 tablespoons of oil, broth, half a cup of matzah meal. And a little bit of salt. And it's easy to make.
You made it look very simple.
Yeah. Well, there's technique to everything. So try it. And it's fun. Just give yourself plenty of time. It's important that you look at the recipe, and the cooling of the soup is critical, and removing the chicken from the pot and letting it cool a little bit, and then removing the bone and the skin.
Okay, excellent.
Back to you, Marcia.
Okay, other questions? Yes. Okay. So the question is, if you had the whole like matzah cracker, I don't know if I'm using the right term, could you, trying to find there I am. Could you grind that up and turn that into your own meal, or are you better off buying the actual meal?
I would suggest buy the meal. You'll get uniformity. That's critical.
Oh, okay. Okay. Uniformity. Yep. One more.
Okay.
Good, excellent. Yep. So,
Okay.
Lisa.
Go ahead, Marcia.
So Lisa just shared that she has made matzah balls using a mix, like what you mentioned that she got at the supermarket.
That's fine. That's excellent.
Ooh.
Marcia, I'm sending it back to you. I think we
It's time to
are
close.
coming down to the line here, and if you would like to thank everyone, I'll stand by and listen to your comments.
All right, it sounds good. All right, so in closing, thank you all for joining us today. Our next show, we're going to move on to yet another culture, and we're going to do a quick red sauce and meatballs and talk about the nutrition attributes of that. So with that, thank you. Stay safe, stay healthy, wash your hands, and eat chicken soup. And you may be able to get by without a cold this winter.